Hailing from the Jersey Shore and raised as athletes, the Airey Bros have always shared a passion for physical culture, athletic performance, and human optimization, always striving to be the strongest versions of themselves, mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. Along the way, they've met some pretty amazing humans and have had some pretty epic adventures. The intention of Airey Bros Radio is to showcase these amazing people and the impact that they've had on them, and to share tips, tricks, and hacks so that you can win each day, every day.
You're listening to Airey Bros Radio. Be there or be square, because it's all killer, no filler.
Sign said, "Welcome to Oklahoma."
Stop being a bitch. Marcus Brilliant.
I was like, how much for a shower?
Maybe I'm just too woo-woo these days.
A Southern Ocean County kind of feel to it.
Let's go.
Yeah, they had like Kratom and they had the CBDs and the Delta 8s.
Hey, the brick wall's not there to stop you. It's just there to show you how bad you want it.
I'm trying not to curse these days, but you know, my old man always used to say, if you hang with shit, you smell like shit.
I mean, those Point Beach Red Bank vibes, I'm ready to go, dog. You know what I mean?
Talking to a dude about semen retention or backwards flowing method.
Dude, you ever get that, do semen retention and have your fucking fingers tingle, dude? Feel like a god. Thought I was gonna fall out the other day. I was just trying to reference lost episodes. How was your trip, man? How was the drive? How was all that? Any revelations on the road?
I think the biggest revelation from the first leg of the trip was make sure you check your route when you type your way into Waze.
Had you all over the place?
Well, so, you know, I talked to April before I left, and I was just like, hey, I told her what the deal was and said I've got 2 routes I can take. You know, one of them brings me through, Oklahoma City. So, like, if you're going to be around and you want to go grab breakfast or connect and meet up, hang out for a minute, I'm cool with that. Otherwise, I'm just going to shoot down 70 and go through Kansas City, go that way. She was like, yeah, I'll be here, come by or whatever. So I figured I would just go, because we always do 70 and going to OKC, I would do 70 to 35. But there's also the way you could go down like through Colorado Springs on 25 and then kind of go through New Mexico, like a brief little corner of New Mexico into Texas and then shoot across on I-40. And so that's what I had intended on doing. And then as I was going down 25, it was going to reroute me to bring me on to 70 and go 70 and then 35 down to OKC, which, thinking about resting and stopping at rest stops and stuff, 70 is like kind of tried and true. You're going to have rest stops pretty much wherever there's enough of them that you can find a place to pull off and feel comfortable where you're going to take a nap or whatever. And so it had me going rerouting off of 25 to go back on 70, and I was like, nah, I'm gonna go this way for a change, And so I thought I was gonna go 25 through New Mexico into Texas and then across on 40. And then as it got dark, I was driving in Colorado, and then all of a sudden I stopped, got out, got some gas, walked around a little bit, stretched out, got back in the car and started driving. And all of a sudden I saw like a sign that said, "Welcome to Oklahoma." And I was like, oh, this isn't the way that I thought I was going to go. And so basically from that point forward until I got pretty much to Oklahoma City, it was all like country back roads, it was like single lane roads. And it was at night too. So it's like, you're trying not to think about the Mothman or the Grassman or anything else that's going to come out of a Skinwalker or whatever else, because
You want that shit, bro. You got to welcome that. You got to pray to the mother goddess to see that shit.
Because you're talk about, not having lights and stuff, street lights and stuff. There were no street lights here. And then it started like pouring. It was like a full-on storm.
Monsoon.
Yeah, it was like one of those ones where you're like, I really need to pull off and kind of wait this out. But I got behind a 18-wheeler and just kind of tried to keep my distance from him, but just kind of follow where he was going and figured I would have been all right. And eventually we're going to drive out of this storm. Well, we were driving for a while. We weren't driving out of it. So then at that point in time, I pulled off at some sort of like, Loves or one of those come and go like Supers or whatever. Just needed to get out of the car and get something to drink or whatever, get a cup of coffee if I was going to keep driving. And they had showers.
Did you take one?
Yeah, I was like, yeah,
change your life?
I was like, how much for a shower? And they were like, $10. I'm like, let's do it. So I went in, took a cold shower, got a cup of coffee, and got back on the road for like another hour or two. And then I finally...
A game changer?
Yeah, but it was short-lived, you know what I mean? It was like, I need to be taking a shower like every 30 minutes at this point. I need a cold bucket of water or something. So it was definitely a game changer, but it wasn't prolonged. That and a cup of coffee got me to where I, wanted to be, but it was just one of those things where...
As the saying goes, that a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
At a dime.
So it just took longer because some of those roads, like it wasn't highway driving, you know what I mean? Per se, we were going 75 the whole way. So in that regards, I probably would have been better off going 70 to 35, and I would have had better options in terms of like pulling off and maybe taking more naps, shorter naps, and would have got to OKC faster. But other than that, it wasn't that bad. And then the second day was pretty easy getting through, getting out of Oklahoma and then getting through a good portion of Arkansas. And then I stopped and it was like kept seeing these signs for this barbecue joint where I sent you those wrestlers from.
Oh, right on.
They had like a wall of fame and their
pictures. That was in Arkansas?
Yeah, Brinkley, Arkansas. So I kept seeing signs for this Nick's Barbecue and Catfish. It was like Nick's Barbecue and Catfish, 100 miles. It was like way out. Because at first I was like, man, there's a lot of these Nick's barbecues. This must be like a Arkansas thing or whatever. But then I realized that it was just like letting me know, kind of like, 50 miles to Grandma Horner's type of situation. So I finally, it was like, all right, next exit. And it was probably at like 7:30. So I pulled off and got like the brisket dinner and got back on the road. And it's like, I'm going to drive a little bit more because I was coming up on like 8 hours to go. And I knew like if I would have drove straight through the night, I would have got here by like probably like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. And then I just would have kind of been twiddling my thumbs, for a few hours, waiting to text the landlord and stuff to get the keys or whatever. So I stopped in Brinkley and got a hotel and hit the pillow. I was out, dude, because I didn't really, the night before I only slept for very uncomfortably for maybe 90 minutes. It was not, I couldn't put the seat back any further, you know what I mean? It was just like, you're stuck, you can't stretch out your legs just enough. And
you didn't try putting the back seat down and going from the back to, the trunk to the back, or it was just filled with shit?
Full to the brim, dude. There was no. The only other option would have been to like lay on the roof.
If you had that Subaru top, that was a good night's sleep in Steamboat, homie.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely an option to look into for the future in terms of traveling and creating content, doing that stuff. Those are probably a godsend to have one of those. Just to be able to pull over and pop it up and catch a snooze for a couple hours. But then the last day I was just I got up at 2:30, got on the road at 3. Had everything packed and ready to go, and unplugged my phone from the charger and had everything, did a once over in the room, and fucking walked out, left the keys in the room, and just so happened that freaking as soon as I shut the door, I was like, my charger. But luckily there was a guy at the front desk, so he gave me another key, and I got on the road and was off and running. But everything was smooth sailing pretty much until I got to like Atlanta, and then it was just like,
all those Louis Flag strokes.
Dude, I don't know how. I mean, I guess it's probably no different than like coming back on I-70 after skiing or you know, commuting on 25 on during rush hour. You know what I mean? It's just, you forget how bad traffic is when you don't use your car at those times, or you avoid those situations to get to where you need to go. But man, it was like, because it was, well, when I got to Birmingham, when I went through Birmingham, it was like kind of rush hour, and that's kind of where like, that was like the first time I started to like, having to deal with traffic. So Birmingham rush hour, get through there was kind of congested. Then, yeah, getting around Atlanta was just like, I would never want to live here. And then, yeah, pretty much smooth sailing from getting past Atlanta. It was probably like, I think it's like 90 minutes, 2 hours from Atlanta. Dude, there's this place called Buc-ee's. It's like a mega truck stop. It's like a Super Wawa and Grandma Horner's and like any of the most epic truck stops you've ever been to. Like,
where is it?
It's I want to say it's like on the border of Alabama and Georgia. And I was like trying to find coffee on Monday, and it just wasn't like happening where like it was something like I could pull off and go. It was like I had to go out and about, and then so I found this one place, and I started to go there, and I drove past this Buc-ee's, and it's just like this ginormous freaking like gas station, truck stop, or whatever. And so I turned around and went in there. Dude, they had brisket breakfast tacos. They had like a whole food station. They had a barbecue inside it. They were doing those like the candied almonds and pecans and like all the, you know, you get that smell like the cinnamon and the sugar.
Disney World, let's go.
Dude,
did you get a brisket taco?
Yeah, I got 2.
Yeah, how was it? How was the brisket? Was it dry?
No, I made the mistake. I got one with eggs, and then I got one just beef, and I was gonna just get 2 brisket tacos, and I was like, let me get some eggs here. And so the egg one I ate first, and it was just
trash.
It wasn't trash, but it was just like kind of soggy. But then the all brisket, it was really good. Like it was for whatever the heck Buc-ee's is. I mean, that was probably the best brisket breakfast taco I ever had.
Only one to say that too?
What's that?
Only brisket breakfast taco you've ever had too?
Probably, but it was like legit brisket. It was better.
Better than Brothers brisket?
Yeah, well, let me just say this. The brisket taco was 10 times better than the brisket dinner I had the night before at Nick's Barbecue and Catfish.
Right on. How about AJ's?
I mean, it was like legit brisket. It's hard to like. I don't want to. I feel like you're comparing apples and.
Okay.
I say it was better than. Probably better than Brothers, but maybe not on the level of AJ's.
All right, well, that's not bad for breakfast because Brothers is quality. You know, it's not the best, but it's quality.
I mean, I'll say this too. They were so good that if that establishment was like close by here, I would be going there on like a regular basis.
Feel like you're awesome.
I mean, if I had the ability to eat those breakfast or brisket tacos on a regular basis, I would be eating them. They were that good.
Well, you're in the low country now, dog. So you gotta get into barbecuing. Gotta get a smoker.
Technically, where I am at is not considered the low country.
All right.
Low country is like coastal.
I was just trying to reference lost episodes.
Yeah, no, I
Patreon exclusive.
I looked. It's because I referenced that when I had the interview. I was like, I don't think you guys are technically. I don't think where you're at is the low country, but I have some friends that speak very highly of the low country, so that's why I've been looking. But it's kind of unique. Like I'm trying to appreciate and have gratitude for all the newness, but I'm also in that mode where I'm like trying to compare things to like
Places you've been.
Yeah, like, okay, this is this, you know what I mean? This reminds me of this, or, so when I'm driving north, like towards the school, towards some of the other things, because it's really hilly. Like I would say I'm probably going to be, just in my every day-to-day runs in the neighborhood and stuff, I'm going to be getting more hills than I did in Washbach. And so when you're driving like northwest, you can see what I assume is like the Appalachian Mountains. So you kind of get like that, similar like when you're driving west, either like on Alameda or like you're getting on 6 to go like to 70 or whatever, and you see, the front range as you're like heading to Golden or whatever. It's kind of got, so I was like, okay, this kind of reminds me of that. And then there's a recreation facility about a mile from here, and they have it's like a 3.5 mile cross country course. So I was like, okay, this is kind of like CMC, where you run to get to the trails, and it has a disc golf course. So it's like, okay, and there's just one section that's like all pine needles that you're running on and stuff. So. But I would say overall, it's we always joke about like Anytown, USA, but this is kind of like small town.
That's cool.
Small town USA, you know what I mean? So
there's no big America in there, for lack of a better term.
I mean,
Corporate
there's
America.
No, I mean, there's a super Walmart and that sort of stuff in town. You know what I mean? It's
kind of like a Salida type deal where you have like a little bit of your hometown stuff, but there's a little bit of some bigger stuff.
Yeah, it's probably on a bigger scale than Salida. You know what I mean? But with that being said, I live 4 blocks from Old Town, Seneca. So I'm within walking distance of like Old Town Main Street. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like walking down. Again, we're trying to like relate things to things that we know that have been in our lives. So it reminds you of like walking down Harrison Street or downtown Point Beach or Red Bank. You know what I mean? It's got like there's a coffee shop over there. The brewery's right there. There's a couple other artsy things in there, galleries. There's a couple of empty buildings, but yeah, I mean, I'm right by the main Old Town downtown, so it's got like those old kind of brick kind of buildings. You know what I'm talking about? It's like that little strip, a couple blocks where it's like.
Get me in those Point Beach, Red Bank vibes. I'm ready to go, dog. You know what I mean? A little walk down Harrison Street. That's all you need. I do South Pearl here,
Yeah. It's like, and it's also got a very, and I mean this in the best of ways, but it's definitely got like a Southern Ocean County kind of feel to it.
Let's go, Lakehurst.
It's definitely got like that, because that was the other thing.
River, get that white feeder out, dog.
Oh, it's got like that. Yeah,
wear that Iverson jersey more.
Some of that like kind of like Route 9 through Bayville to Lacey kind of feel to it.
Hot dog stand, let's do it.
And then it's got
Last Roy Rogers still there.
Yeah. Oh, dude, there's like at least the Burger King. The Burger King is like even though it's got like a new sign, like a illuminating sign, it's definitely like an old school, like OG Burger King building.
Nice.
At least that I drove by, and then I went to. I was trying to see if they had like filtered water at there's like a. It's not even like a Monmouth Health. It's like wouldn't even tell you who to compare it to in terms of like.
Is there like the health food store you used to go to in high school? That
yeah, it's got vitamins. It's got the weight gainers and like the cheesy kind of like dick pill type supplements. You know what I mean? Like in terms of like. It's not like a natty
you stock it up.
Well, dude, they had those. So I just was like,
the red band section.
Yeah, they had like Kratom and they had the CBDs and the Delta 8s. And so, yeah, Ari's always talking about this 3chew.com that has they do this Delta 8, THC, CBD or whatever. But he's always like, it's not CBD. It gets you fucked up, So he's like,
they say it's CBD, but it's THC. Oh.
Yep. And so that's why I was like, it was like a pack of 12, So I was like, all right, let me just grab one of these and see if it's like, because I've heard other people say that it's like, you be careful for this Delta 8 stuff because it's not like, if you're expecting like CBD, like you're going to be in a bad way. And so.
Is it THC or is it like synthetic or you don't even know?
I don't even know.
Would you take another one?
Not right now, but yeah. I would probably, it depends on what.
Did it feel like THC or is it dirty?
It wasn't, it's hard to tell because it knocked me out, you know what I mean? Like I was like, I'm going to take a nap right now because I was kind of tired from traveling or whatever. I was doing something and it started to come on and I was like, oh, okay, I'm about ready to go for a ride here. So I just started to lay down. I did notice that my lips were like tingling. But it's been so long since I've had an edible that for all intents and purposes, it's I don't know how they get away with it. You know what I mean? Because I'm pretty sure I had thought there were some laws here about CBD, but I've seen not only did they have CBD at that place, but I've also seen like CBD specific stores here.
Is there no medical in South Carolina?
I think it's like on the docket for this cycle. I think they're trying to pass some legislation for it, but there's nothing right now, medical or otherwise.
So as far as that being your health food store right now, do you have towns in distance where you can go check out bigger stores or different stores, or are you in the middle of the sticks?
No, Clemson's like 10 miles from here.
All right.
So I would imagine that there's
How far are you from Campbell?
And that's in North Carolina.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. I don't know exactly where in North Carolina it is, but
I thought it was South Carolina. My bad.
I'm like 90 minutes from Asheville.
Go see Andrew.
Yeah.
And Mike Doyle.
Oh, is he in Asheville?
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, he's got what the hell is he's got a podcast, dude? Because he was shout out to Mike Doyle, CrossFit Motown. He's got a podcast where he just interviews like people from pop punk emo bands because he was in one back in the day, and he gets some pretty good guests. I think it was like this was the scene, I believe it was called. So shout out to that podcast.
Right on. How long has he been down there for a while?
I feel like a minute, at least since like I've left Jersey. I think he's been down there.
Nice.
Yeah. So, dude,
Go ahead.
I've you know, some changes, some transitioning, moving some stuff into some rooms. You traveling had me diving back into the log, because I know many times we've done road trips and it's just podcast central, and I just thought how unique and cool it was that, hey, you got 171 episodes of us to kind of go back and deep dive. So I was kind of doing that as well throughout the past couple days, and it's kind of cool looking at what we've created and kind of where we've been since, you know, you left Point in 2010, right? And the whole mission, and go see things and travel and learn and grow and experience new things. And sometimes it's not always glitz and glamour, but when you go back and you kind of look at things from 10,000 feet, it gives you appreciation and gratitude. And I just have a lot of it, and just thinking about, you know, Stop Me Project and Is the Juice, and, you know, doing it in the bunker in Oceanside, and the poor quality, and then Met Media. It's just kind of cool to go back and kind of see what we've done. You know, I know it's not where we necessarily want it to be, but it's been a pretty cool journey, dog.
Yeah, it's been fun. Had a lot of amazing guests, people that we didn't ever made me think that we could.
We talked to a dude about semen retention, dog.
Yeah, it's wild, you know. Looking at, you know, I was listening to Todd Williams, and, you know, 2-time Olympian. You know, think of the guests and some of the things that they've accomplished and the things that they've done, and it's been a wild journey, and it's kind of come full circle in terms of zigging and zagging, and got bit by you know, the conspiracy bug for a while, and kind of entertained that reality in that world for a minute, and definitely got to speak with some amazing and unique individuals, and, you know, a bucket list to check off, and have an ability to chat with Sam Tripoli was pretty wild. You know, and it always goes back to learning, and I think, you know, in trying to learn about some of these topics and broach some of these topics, I think you also kind of learn a little bit about yourself, but you also learn a little bit about the people that you're talking to, you know, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, or, you know, people's content of character. And sometimes you take things for face value, but then other times you see things for kind of what they are. And again, it goes back to the 4 agreements and stuff, and not taking things personally, but being impeccable with your word. And sometimes those two things kind of go hand in hand in terms of, like, people no-showing, or people miscommunicating, or showing up late, all kinds of stuff. And it's been a fun journey up until this point.
Yeah, dude. I mean, also, you got to think too, kept us going during COVID, right? Going crazy at least once a week, twice a week. We had the opportunity to talk to some people during that time to see what was going on around them, and just the ability to meet some pretty cool people and get on their radar and have those conversations. Like you mentioned, Sam, like, you know, I'm pretty sure we probably listened to him at some point on one of those road trips back in the day, you know? So that coming full circle, and man, I'm trying to figure out a way to record that so we can get some sound bites, because there's some good sound bites in there of him. I just can't figure out how to rip that from Rockfin. So if there's anyone out there listening that knows how to rip videos from Rockfin, holler at your boy.
You know, it was also, I listened to the Mark Bello episodes. It was really interesting to kind of, because I think that was like one of those ones that was relatively right in the thick of things in 2020, and to kind of hear him talk about how he wasn't, he was staying in his lane and he wasn't letting, as crazy as things might have appeared to be in California, and what certain people were saying about places like Los Angeles and San Francisco. Mark had a pretty even keel response and approach to it, where he was just like, I'm doing me, I'm doing my thing, I'm going for my walks, I'm going for my runs, I'm running my gym, I'm running my business, and till it was kind of like almost like it's not on my doorstep, so I'm focusing on the 2 feet in front of my face.
Yeah, and he's been putting out some fire content. He's got a nice new studio, and it's cool to see stuff like that too. See guests that you had on, and see how like Alex Stein, that dude's blown up since we've talked to him. He's been in the process of blowing up, and it's things like that where someone searches him, and we got 2 episodes with him that show up on his YouTube. So it's cool things like that, like someone we never would have ever experienced prior to ever having a podcast. So those are things that you don't plan for, but they happen. The cool things that happen. I don't know if it's serendipity, if that's the word or not. Also, speaking of some of the guests we've had, and just listening to the Steve Maxwell podcast, or we mentioned Asheville and mentioned Andrew, just the ability to talk to guests, learn about their habits, and add and take away from my daily habits, and kind of stack those and take ideas from guests or certain concepts and add that into my life. That's been like really essential beyond anything else, is just the ability to kind of have those conversations that give you a little bit more context to open you up to things. But I know Andrew talks about writing gratitudes and some Charles Pauklin stuff, and I started on that, and that was 2 years ago. And some of the stuff that Steve Maxwell mentioned, pick up on that, and some of the Steph talking about brushing her teeth, just random stuff like that you pick up on along the way.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most valuable questions or pieces of information that we get. Obviously people talking about what they've got going on, what their work is, if they've written a book or a movie or whatever they've got promoting, but also just taking that inside look at their daily habits or their routines. Martin Rooney was another guy that really stood out.
Oh, that's a great episode.
He's a cool cat, and his kind of fire and passion that was really impactful for him, saying he's like, you asked him about like how does he bring the fire all the time, and he's like, well, I only talk about things that I love to talk about. So it's like, if I'm not this fired up and I'm talking about what I love, then I'm probably doing something wrong, So I thought that was just super insightful and definitely resonated. You know what I mean? It's like same sort of stuff where it's like, well, yeah, I'm not that fired up, so why would I? I don't have the flame lit under me. But if you want to talk about this, or this, then I'm probably going to be pretty hyped about it. So that stood out to me. I thought, Todd Williams saying, I'm trying not to curse these days, but my old man always used to say, if you hang with shit, you smell like shit.
That's a good one. That's a soundbite for the new intro for sure. Did you get time references for stuff at all?
No, just because I was driving, I was trying to make a note. I'll go back and pull off some of the things. It's actually in the intro.
All right. Yeah, but it's got music.
It's got the music behind it, but it's more towards the back end of his episode.
Another good Martin Rooney one is, hey, the brick wall's not there to stop you. It's just there to show you how bad you want it. That got me through sophomore year, dude. Like, I used to say that to myself. That and Uncle Steve never forget, like, hand in hand.
Yeah.
I'm trying to rack my brain of some of the other ones I was going through, or some of the other ones Brant Tobler, just listening to some of him on the Craft Feast, getting to meet him and pop him, and that was epic. And go see his shows. Like, who would have thought when we were living in Leadville we'd ever have contact with that dude? That's kind of a cool thing to think of. We got mentioned on stage at Rise. Like, that's another cool one for the bucket list. Regardless, it's just certain things, dude. It's just, who would have thought? Just from a little going into Met Media one day, ask if we can record.
Yeah, it was a moment in time. It was a good one. It kind of knew when we left that we were never, unfortunately, going to be back there. But
it gave us what we needed, though.
Gave us what we needed. It would have been nice to get back in there, but at the same time, it was somewhat of a, I don't know if you'd say it was a toxic environment, but it was definitely at the very least an unhealthy environment for.
No, but that summer period we had from spring to summer of, I guess it was 19, that was golden, when it was just us and Brady and Cleveland. That shit was golden till we got the whole crew in this fall. When we had that period when we were in there recording twice a day.
Yeah, we maximized our time, and it was so we can use this as much as we want. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Just gonna say, dude, that was also just something that took a lot of people by surprise.
Well, I think that's that same work ethic than when we were at Rhino MMA back in the day, and Rob's like, "You guys are here every day." Yeah, we're not supposed to be here every day. We have a membership. I thought that's what you do. Just come and trade. That's just how it is, right? I got this opportunity. It's how we socialize, it's how we interact. This is what we're gonna do. But I think going back and looking at some of those episodes and looking at kind of our catalog, I think going ahead is, and I won't mention any names, but getting into some of the health and wellness of things, back more into that, and to integrate it all. I think that's where we've kind of come full circle, is taking all this stuff that we were diving deep into and using some certain things to integrate and blocking some things out. But I think going forward, we're gonna kind of get back on that Airey Bros, living good vibes type of deal.
Yeah, I think we needed that, and we're getting back into our roots of health and wellness and optimization and talking to those sorts of things. I think 2020 definitely got a. I mean, it was a long, slow, even before COVID, in a sense, for me, of kind of getting further and further away from health and wellness and coaching and training and that sort of stuff. So I'm looking forward to it. I got a $130,000 weight facility that I'll have access to, so I'm looking forward to getting the weightlifting shoes back on, getting underneath a bar and testing out some new stuff and some different programs. I'm thinking about maybe doing, it doesn't look like there's any kettlebells, but it looks like they've got quite a plethora of dumbbells. So maybe doing some 531 and then incorporating some high intensity bodybuilding or some Ryan Fisher dumbbell stuff. I was also thinking about maybe getting a power athlete plan.
Dude, that Ryan Fisher shit will have you feeling like Arnold, dude.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun for sure. I would just suggest substituting some of the Olympic shit.
Yeah, I have it on my computer. I'll have to pull it up tonight, take a look at it, start.
Did you check out the wrestling room?
Yeah.
Got pull-up bars? No.
Not yet.
Pull-up bars, pegboard, high ceilings or low ceilings?
High ceilings.
So it ain't getting that hot in there. Not that it matters, but I feel like the low ceiling rooms are the ones where it's like a sweat box. Higher ceilings like the burrow, you can't get that hot.
Yeah, I don't think it's like got one of those drop ceilings, you know what I mean? So it's like you could put in like the tiles or whatever and make it appear to be lower, but all that is opened up, so it's raised up. But I mean, it's pretty much the world is my oyster, and whatever kind of crazy things I concoct, I think they're gonna support and get behind. So I did go over today to check out, walk around a little bit, and meet up with the athletic director, and he kind of showed me they have 2 gyms, a wrestling room. It's kind of, say the wrestling room most reminds me of probably like the old wrestling room at Southern. It's kind of like that size, maybe a little bit bigger. It's probably got like a mat and a half worth of space. So it'll be interesting, but I got my own classroom. So
You want me to send you some posters? You want the David Icke poster? What's the one? You want the wagging dog or the Manchurian Candidate? You gotta get like, are you a history teacher or special ed?
Special ed.
Like everything?
I don't even know yet. They've been sending me emails to my school email. I walked in this afternoon, and the secretary was like, "Can I help you?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm Richard Airey. I'm one of the new teachers." She's like, "Oh my God, you exist!"
I can't wait till you're having like Michelle Gibson doing a PowerPoint presentation on Zoom about ancient architecture and shit.
Ley lines.
Yeah, dude.
You don't know about Klaus Schwab's dad?
Oh, dude. I saw a post it, and then I looked and I saw it wasn't up, and then I saw that you sent me the Sam Tripoli on Rogan, and I was like, sick. I know what I'm doing when we get done.
Yeah.
I thought it was so funny, like, because I feel like Eddie never really did a good job of explaining, like, Flat Earth, where Sam was just like, you don't know Operation High Jump? Just went right into it. It's great.
Yeah, they got off of that pretty quickly, though. He kind of rerouted the conversation. I feel like I'm probably like an hour in, maybe a little bit longer. I feel like he's kind of rerouted the conversation once or twice.
No, he can't handle Sam these days, dude. Not full on. Like, Sam's... I love you, Sam, but you're full on. Like, Sam goes hard in the paint.
But he said he's been a year and a half, I think he said. I remember right around when we talked to him.
Dude, power to anyone, man. I don't know how anyone does that.
What? Stay sober?
Yeah, man. Like, I rather try to moderation with things.
Some people don't know moderation and can't. Or one thing leads to another, and you're in trouble.
Do you listen to Marty Leeds' podcast? I think we got one of his best episodes out of him as far as interview-wise. I feel like we got him to have a conversation.
I haven't listened yet. It's on my to-do probably tomorrow morning. I'm looking forward to continuing to have epic guests and getting back to, you know, some of the kind of maybe getting more into some of the woo-woo stuff, but then also just talking about things that, you know, got us to the dance and got us to where we are, and that's health and fitness and wellness. And, you know, like I said, it's I'm looking forward to getting back into, not that I'm ever out of shape, but, you know, certain things you neglect on things, and looking forward to being refocused on having those things to get done and do those sorts of things. I still don't know what the hell I did to my left side is now fine. It's my right side that is like, it definitely feels like there's that L5S1 is pinching something, and it just moved from whatever it was pinching on the left side to the right side, and it's now pinching it and impinging it even more. But it took like took almost the whole, I think I ran like 4.5, 5 miles today, and it took almost 3 to 4 miles to just kind of loosen my right hip up. So we shall see. But it's nice to know that, a mile away, I got a 3-mile cross country loop that I can have. And then there's like a bunch of state parks nearby and a national forest. And there's like a mini, not a mini, but
You don't know about National Forest, dog? You don't know about Missing 411? All the Nazis get abducted.
yeah.
Sherman descent.
It's called the Foothills Trail. It's a 70-mile through hike trail that starts from here. So I think maybe that might be the first endeavor is to do like an out and back, 140 whatever miles unassisted. You go from, because it's point to point. So plan that and just go one way and turn around and come back the other way. Stretch it out over a day or two.
Cool. Get a GoPro. I'll edit it for you.
So,
any mounds? You got any mounds? I know you sent me a mud flood building. Got any weird shit to dive into? You dive into weird South Carolina yet?
Not yet. I'm waiting kind of just to get the computer set up, get the Wi-Fi set up, and then have the ability to start.
You're living Christopher McCandless style right now.
Far from it, but don't have Wi-Fi. Not that I'm mad that I don't have it, but there's, like I said, there's a couple parks and stuff that I've checked out, but that mud flood building that I sent you. That's in that old world or old town downtown area. So it was just kind of like something I was like, oh, look at what we have here. There's a building on a slant, and there's steps down into a doorway.
Well, I mean, that's another thing, dude. Like the mud flood. Maybe that was a casualties of 2020, but I don't think we ever would have got into that. I definitely would have made a film about it, right? Like I didn't give a crap about any sci-fi stuff, but I was able to take us talking about some weird stuff and make like a sci-fi film. I think prior to 2020, most of the content I really wanted to make was like documentaries, like LSD. So there's another product of the podcast, and we made a documentary about you too. Like I'm proud of that one. I know that might be a hard watch for you because it's you, but that's a good one. And yeah, the B-roll is a little repetitive, but it's another product of the podcast.
No, it's good content. It's not that I don't want to watch it or didn't enjoy watching it. There was just certain aspects of it that I feel like at least I could have done better, you know what I mean, in terms of bringing the energy or whatever, but...
Time and place, set and setting. That was the set and setting. That's what we had, you know? It was, dude.
My friend of misery!
I don't even know what you're singing.
Metallica, Misery.
Metallica? I don't listen to bands from Vail.
It's off the Black Album.
San Francisco, bro. They're not from Vail. I was speaking of that. I was listening to some old. You dive into any crab feast on the road trip?
No,
Wow.
It was Airey Bros. It was I re-listened to
Paul
the last Protect Our Parks with Ari and Shane Gillis and Mark Norman on Rogan. I tried to do the Andy Gallopin one with Andrew Huberman, but it was just so much information. It was just there's certain podcasts are just for me are not like road trip material. You know what I mean? Like it's like I got to be in a headspace where I can write some stuff down or like rewind or take some notes, and that just couldn't do that while I was driving. So
yeah, that podcast with Jackie Jolie, Sungazing one on THC. That's one of those. I went back and when I was at work, I was listening, and the service elevator at work is so slow. Anytime I was standing, I would take notes or screenshots, and that's how I got the app. But I am excited to have that conversation as well, because I feel like that's another person we can kind of maybe have a conversation on our level, maybe because my experience and what I have some questions, so I'm really excited for that one. And the other one we have lined up with sun gazing, so I'm stoked on that stuff too. And there's another product of the podcast. I never thought of sun gazing prior to doing a podcast and talking to Ra and listen to him talk about that stuff. And I think that's another thing, that you can listen to someone talk about it, but until you experience it, you have no context at all.
Right, and I think that's kind of also one of our maybe mantra, for lack of a better term, or mindset, is that you are an experimental one. And I think if anything, the podcast is reinforced to going to research something and experiment on ourselves, to kind of further our opinion on something, and not just one way or the other brush it off as nonsense. I think we've always kind of been open to ideas and concepts and kind of fringe thinking, and I think that doing this has just kind of opened up that door even wider to have conversations with, like you said, talking to a dude about semen retention or backwards flowing method. And some things may be hokey or corny to other people just may not believe in anything. And that's kind of where I'm at right now, and I'm thinking about how I approach stuff with this new endeavor. Is just like, hey, I'm going to throw some crazy stuff at you. I might point you in the right direction, but like, it's up to you to figure out, like, you can fact check me all you want. Make sure you use DuckDuckGo or Brave before you do it. But like, yeah, I'm going to throw some crazy stuff at you. So, whether it's nutrition or they were talking about that too. He's like, yeah, I really want to like set up an all sports nutrition kind of talk, where we can talk to people about nutrition and all that stuff. I'm like, well, it starts with the parents, man. You got to get the parents on board. Like, it's going to be hard to get a kid to eat, white rice and chicken and broccoli or whatever, or mention like, I just eat steaks and avocados for breakfast. If mom and dad are eating, a Pop-Tart and a bowl of cereal, it's going to be hard to, unless the kid's working and is going to go buy bacon and eggs himself, he may not have, the ability to kind of experiment with some of this stuff.
I also think it's one of those things, you're going to try to get away with bad habits as long as you can. I was thinking about this today when I first got into CrossFit. I had really bad form on my deadlift, but can move heavy weight. And I just had the mindset, I can move heavy weight. What's the matter if my form's bad? And now it takes you 20 minutes to get up. But you can't tell someone in 10 years they're going to be wrecked because of a certain thing, or down the line they're going to have to change their habits because their body's not going to process things as well and certain things like that. So I think you can lead a horse, but if they don't have any experience or anything to kind of attach that to or any meaning to it, it's going to be hard. But I think going back to your original point of the experiment, and I think being able to have something raise a question in our head and then look online and maybe find someone who's wrote a book on it or researched it and then have a conversation about it, I think that is invaluable. And I think that's maybe where it ends for some people. They might hear someone on a podcast and that's where the curiosity may end. But for us, we've had the ability to have a conversation with these people and kind of advance our research on certain things. And oh, they said this, or they led me down this way, and expanded my thought pattern on this one subject. And I think that's huge too. Think about the guest and how many times a guest mentions this book or this person, and then, you're editing or listening, you're writing it down, and then you're going down all these other avenues and they're opening all these other doors.
Yeah, it's like dominoes. You know what I mean? And it's, I think you can do like, it's like 6 degrees almost, and one guess leads to another from time to time, and sometimes it leads down the avenue, sometimes it's a dead end, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes you get a Mike Colleen or a Brian Regal, other times you get gold.
I think there's valuable lessons from those tough conversations or those Ben Eddy conversations. Like, there's a learning curve, I think, on a lot of them. And I think there's also the ability to know now where if you're in like a 30-minute conversation that's not going anywhere, it's like, all right, we're done.
Yeah, let's wrap this up.
Yeah. I thought of a funny meme that was like, stop being a bitch, Marcus Aurelius.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah, dude. Like, get tough, Seneca.
HTFU, Seneca.
For real though, it's funny. Like, it's funny when I go and listen to some of that stuff and I'm just like, oh, I'm such an irrational emo fuck. Like, there's nothing stoic about some of my actions.
Be sure where Roman correct, I don't know.
Oh, dude, I don't even want to get into it. Yeah, dude, I think at first I was like, change is just horrible, and it's like ripping off a Band-Aid where there's like Timmy Eason hair on it, but I feel like it's good, and it's gonna force us both to grow and experience these things and walk around the house naked more. So I'm figure some shit out and learn and grow. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it, like you said, it's just good to have a little bit of perspective and some change on some things and get us a little bit more refocused. At least for me, I feel like it was kind of just going through the motions of life. Working at that brewery didn't really seem like it was going anywhere fast or anywhere positive or productive, being around people that are drinking beer, although I went to the coffee shop, which is also a bar, and everyone in there was drinking beer at fucking 8 o'clock this morning.
Heathens, Sodom and Gomorrah.
I was like, what is going on? I thought like there's like a work crew in there, and I was like, they must just be finishing up because they're all drinking beer right now.
Teach their own, homie.
Yeah, but they have, like I said,
2020 worked on us, dude. Shook us enough.
Sure did.
Brought me back to Jesus. Also, I'm putting in order at the farmer's market for the meat and the yogurt. So I'm gonna stock up like $5. You can't beat $5 12-ounce raw yogurt, dude. You can't fucking beat that price. And the quality and the meat, $6. I mean, it's like $6.89, I think, at Natty G's. So saving 89 cents.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff out here. There's like driving in once I got off the highway to get here. There's like all the farmland and stuff. So I was on that eatwild.com, that Tristan had mentioned, and there's a bunch of stuff they do. It's almost like a different farms. They all feed into this one place, and you can kind of just go in and pick what you want, and then they have a drop off here in town.
That's sick.
Start doing that. So there's like two or three ranches, where you can get like pork and beef and stuff like that. So like I said, once I get everything settled and situated, I'm going to switch over from going to grocery. I asked the guy, the landlord dude, like, oh, is there like a vitamin cottage, like a natural grocers type store around here? He's like, yeah, there's an Aldi.
Fuck out of here, dude.
So the other night I went to the Publix.
I heard they got good fried chicken, by the way, but I digress.
Aldi or Publix?
Publix.
Okay, I'll take a look. But I went, like, there's a new Publix, which is like, it's just under 2 miles, so I'm kind of like I could probably walk this if I really, want. Because it's sort of one of those things where I just feel like
this is 3 miles. You got that shit all day.
well, I feel like it's just this is one of those things where I have to like really remind myself like certain things like that is walkable, you know what I mean? Even though it's not laid out, like, you walk to the end of the block and then you go a mile that way, you know what I mean? It's very common in the city for people to just be walking everywhere, whereas here it's like,
why are you walking, son?
Like I fucking feel like I was walking back from the coffee shop with my backpack and I walked by a cop and he like turned around and drove back to like check me out to see what I was doing. I'm like, I'm just walking home, bro. Yeah, so I went to the Aldi today and I was like, this isn't even fucking close to you, not even like a Sprouts. Like, so I went back to the Publix and got some steaks and some avocados and a couple of nectarines.
Can't beat that, dude.
No, I think that's going to be my course of action for a minute. I'm just going to do like rice and steak and some avocados and see how that goes for a minute. Maybe throw in some sweet potatoes and maybe start incorporating some eggs again too. Because
I tried that. Didn't like me. I don't like farting, dude.
yeah, I'm going to figure out how to do it. If you do like one a day or one every other day, like a hard boiled one, and just kind of fucking use it as like a combo with like some yogurt and some nuts and some honey. Just have a fucking hard boiled egg too. But I feel like I'm trying to see, as long as it doesn't really impact my sleep. I think just because of the nutrient density, that it's probably beneficial to have one a couple of week. Maybe not every day, but maybe like every other day or 3 a week. Can't hurt too bad. Logan was on Crow 777 again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he just posted it.
Right on.
I attempt to get up at 4:30 again.
Right on.
Like I just need to get into that fucking Jocko Willink fucking good.
I'm tired.
Anyway. Do it anyway. Get up.
Sucks. Good.
Get up. Fucking.
I've been using that, dude. I've been using be more disciplined, and like I forgot who I heard said it, but it was like a masculine quality is discipline. So I've been trying to just tell myself that too.
Yeah, I had every intention of getting up, but
sometimes when you're not rested, you're not rested.
I know, so I was justifying it.
I mean, if I were you, bro, I'd be taking it dude status till school starts. You know what I mean? You gotta reset, you gotta ground yourself, you gotta be walking barefoot, sun your butthole, get used to everything around you. There's no rush, dude, you're there.
I do have an enclosed back patio, so I could technically sun some shit if I needed to. It'd be like midday sun, though. It would be like...
I've been going creeper status at the park, zip up, zip down, get in my belly. My belly likes the sunlight. You catch me up on that parking garage at night, though, and just take my shirt off.
Why not?
Yeah.
Take advantage of the weather while you got it.
I'm also holding out. I feel like the fall is going to have better sunsets. I got my fingers crossed. I feel like it's smoggier in the summer. Maybe that's just wishful thinking, but I feel like the fall is going to have better sunsets because the summer does not. We had a good sunrise today, though. It's pretty clear.
I was getting worried because I didn't see the sun for like 2 days driving through fucking Oklahoma and Arkansas. It was like overcast and rain, both states. I was like, uh-oh. It's been cloudy, but it's been pretty bright the past 2 days, so it's just fucking humid as a motherfucker, dude. I think it was 95% humidity this morning.
When you sent that, I was gonna text what Wardian said, but I felt it came off passive aggressive in a text message. But I was just gonna be like, what did Wardian say? Poor man's humidity. Poor man's altitude is humidity.
Yep. Yeah, it'll take a minute, but like I was soaked. I only ran, like I said, probably 4 or 5 miles, and My fucking t-shirt was like this was in a swimming pool.
You got any bodies of water by you?
Oh yeah, there's two big lakes that are Lake Kiwi and Lake Hartwell.
Like walking distance, or
Again, you know, what kind of walk are we talking? Are we talking like
I'm talking Airey Bros. Hey, let's go for a walk.
Yeah, it's probably like less than 3 miles. It's just one of those things where you know, not every road has a shoulder and not every road has a sidewalk, so you have to like try to pick and choose or navigate your routes. It's gonna take because I can like literally like from my doorstep. There's one turn to get to the school from here. It's like 2 miles, but it's also like a very narrow shoulder, so I gotta see if I can figure out how to like find another side street or whatever that has like some sidewalks or not like a main thoroughfare that I can ride the bike to work.
It was good talking to you. It was good doing solo dolo with Richie Rich. Been a minute.
Yeah, we good to catch up.
But yeah, dude, it was good talking to you. Have a good day tomorrow, and I love you more, homie.
Love you most, dog.